day everyone, my name is Sheena Magbanwa and today I will be discussing the chapter 10 Sustaining Terrestrial Biodiversity, the Ecosystem Approach entitled How Should We Manage and Sustain Forests and How Should We Manage and Sustain Grasslands. First, we are going to define what is forest. So forest is a complex ecosystem consisting mainly of trees that buffer the earth and support a myriad of life forms. So they inspire wonder and provide places for recreations. They supply the oxygen we need to survive. And they provide the timber for products that we use every day. As we all know, forests are essential for life on Earth because 300 million people worldwide live in forests and 1.6 billion depend on them for their livelihoods. Forests also provide habitat for a vast array of plants and animals, but many of which are still undiscovered. Shown are the types of forests. Old growth. Old growth forest may also be called primary forest, mature forest, frontier forest, or virgin forest. Next, second growth. Second growth forest is a regrown forest after a major disturbance either naturally or unnaturally. Last, tree plantations, a type of managed forest in which the trees are planted and are intended to maximize the productions of wood fiber. Also, forests play a critical role in mitigating climate change because they soak up carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases that would otherwise be free in the atmosphere and contribute to ongoing changes in climate patterns. But despite of the good things that forests have contributed, forests are being destroyed and degraded at alarming rates. Deforestation comes in many forms, including fires, clear cutting for agriculture, ranching and development, unsustainable logging for timber, and degradation due to climate change. This impacts people's livelihoods and threatens a wide range of plant and animal species. This is the Amazon, the planet's largest rainforest, but lost at least 17% of its forest cover in the last half century due to human activity. Just imagine. In Indonesia, the island of Sumatra has lost 85% of its forest, primarily due to conversion for oil, palm, and pulp plantations, and similar level of destruction is taking place on the island of Borneo. Deforestation also undermines the important carbon sink functions of forests. It is estimated that 15% of all greenhouse gas emissions are the results of deforestation. So these are the solutions to sustainable forestry. Identify and protect forest areas high in biodiversity. Rely more on selective cutting and strip cutting. No clear cutting on steep slopes. No logging of old-growth forests. Sharply reduce road buildings into uncut forest areas. Set contained surface fires to remove flammable, small trees and underbrush. Allow unplanned fires to burn if they are not out of control to remove flammable underbrush and trees. Protect houses in fire-prone areas by thinning around them and eliminating the use of flammable materials. Clear away fire-prone plants in vulnerable forest areas under careful environmental control. Management of forest fires. Fire suppression in all types of forest. Prescribe fires. Allow some fires to burn. Thin vegetation from forests, thin around vulnerable homes, decrease flammability of homes, increase underbrush amounts, and increase crown fires probability. These are the ways to reduce tropical deforestation: depth for nature swaps, conservation concessions, gentler logging methods, encourage use of wood substitute. As much as 80% of the world's forests have been destroyed. The price for this destruction is escalating climate change, biodiversity loss, and community displacement. Protecting forests will not only preserve biodiversity and defend the rights of forest communities, it's also one of the quickest and the most effective ways of halting climate change. That is why Greenpeace is campaigning for zero deforestation globally by 2020. To protect these precious ecosystems, Greenpeace is currently campaigning on different areas. They investigate, expose, and confront environmental abuse by corporations around the world to force them to change their practices. They campaign for an international mechanism to help end forest destructions globally known as REDD, which would benefit biodiversity, humanity, and the climate. They work with indigenous communities around the world at the front line of forest destruction to support the demarcations of traditional boundaries and eco-forestry initiatives. They work with one of the world's largest palm oil suppliers, the Golden Agri Resources and the Forest Trust, on a pioneering initiative on implementing forest conservation. How should we manage and sustain forests? We can sustain forests by emphasizing the economic value of their ecological services, removing government subsidies that can hasten their destruction, protecting old growth forests, harvesting trees no faster than they replenish, and planting trees. Next topic, how should we manage and sustain grasslands? To start with, grasslands are areas where the vegetation is dominated by grasses, sedge, and rushes families. They consist of monocotyledon plants with narrow leaves growing from the base and are comparatively resistant to extensive grazing. Grasslands cover about 20% of Earth's land surface, usually where there is low or seasonal rainfall. Grasslands are found at a range of latitudes and altitudes, tropical East African savanna to temperate steppes, prairies and pampas, montane alpine meadows, and Andean permano, often merging into tundra and heathland. So these are the types of grasslands. So there are two main kinds of grasslands, which are the tropical and temperate. Examples of temperate grasslands include Eurasian steppes, North American prairies, and Argentine pampas. For the tropical grasslands includes hot savannas of sub-Saharan Africa and northern Australia. Grasslands, plants, and animals. Grassland supports a variety of species. Vegetations in the African savannas, for example, feeds animals including zebras, wild beasts, gazelles, and giraffes. On temperate grasslands, you might find prairie dogs, badgers, coyotes, swift foxes, and variety of birds. There can be up to 25 species of large plant eaters in a given grassland habitat, comprising a sort of buffet where different grasses appeal to different species. Some grass species in these habitats includes red oats grass and Rhodes grass, in tropical savannas and purple needlegrass and galeta in temperate areas. When rainy season arrives, many grasslands become coated with wildflowers such as yarrow, hyssop, and milkweed. The plants of the grass shade adapted to the drought, fires, grazing common to that. What are rangelands? Rangelands are described as lands on which indigenous vegetation is predominantly grasses, grass-like plants, forbs, and possibly shrubs and dispersed trees. Existing plant communities can include both native and introduced plants. Disturbed lands that have been vegetated naturally or artificially are included. Management of rangelands occurs primarily through ecological processes, rather than ergonomic applications. Grazing by both domestic livestock and wildlife is the most common ecological management process, with fire and weather extremes also being significant ecological factors. Rangelands includes grasslands, savannas, shrublands, moist deserts, tundra, alpine communities, marshes, and meadows. Rangelands provide a wide variety of ecosystem goods and services requested by humans. This includes livestock forage, wildlife habitat, water, mineral resources, wood products, wildland recreations, open space, and natural beauty. The role of disturbance in rangelands and soil health. Rangelands develop under conditions of periodic disturbance, drought, fire, grazing by domesticated animals and native wildlife, with incursions, outbreaks of insect pests, disease, and human activity. Overgrazing. Overgrazing represents an environmental hazard whereby wildlife or livestock excessively feeds on pasture. It also the practice of grazing livestock on vegetation before it has recovered from the former grazing state, also known as intensive grazing. Intensive grazing thus causes the plant residual matter to decline and further contributes to numerous negative consequences to both animals and the land. The following are the causes, effects, and solutions of overgrazing: lack of proper animal wildlife management, socioeconomic conditions of the farmer, drought or decline in precipitations, improper land use, overstocking, poor irrigation method in arid and semi-arid areas, prolonged effects of overgrazing, soil erosion, land degradations, loss of valuable species, food shortage of famine, death of people and livestock, deforestation, and global warming. That will be all for my report. Thank you and stay safe.